Hi, this is Karen Gaines, your nonprofit finance guide. And today I am going to talk about the number of bank accounts you should have for your nonprofit organization. So, the number of bank accounts you should have for your nonprofit this depends on several factors. It depends on the size of your organization, the operations involved, any complexities, your financial management needs. Is not a one size fits all, but it depends on your organization. Okay, so I believe all nonprofits should have at least two bank accounts. Okay, so one bank account for your operational needs and the other for your reserve slash savings type of needs. Okay, so your operational bank account will be the bank account in which you pay all of your bills, in your bank account in which you receive your cash from the revenue you've earned or donations received. Your operations account is your most active account. There will be transactions coming in and out of that account almost on a daily basis. All right. And then your reserve account or your savings account or emergency fund, that should be in a separate account. Okay. And this account is for emergency uses. All right. So this is the account in which you want to be putting cash into so that you can use it when you need it. Just think of it as a rainy day fund. All right. So all nonprofits should have at least two bank accounts, your operating account and your reserve account. All right, so let's get into some other bank accounts. All right, so if your nonprofit is more complicated, has more needs, then you probably need more bank accounts. All right, so if you are receiving large amounts of restricted funding, that is, you're receiving funding from donors, in which you have to use for a specific purpose. You may want to open up another bank account just for those funds, for those restricted funds. Now, if you are receiving restricted funds in small amounts, let's say like $500, $700, I wouldn't open a bank account for that. These are for your very large donations, funding that you have coming through with a purpose, because you don't want that money sitting in your operations account and then you accidentally spend that money that was restricted for a specific purpose. And then when the donor or the funder comes around and says, hey, did you use the funding that I gave you for the specific purpose? And you want to be able to have an answer. You want to be able to tell them, yes, I have spent it on the specific purpose, or no, I haven't spent it. It's sitting in a restricted bank account and I haven't spent it because of A, B, or C reason. Okay. Next bank account that you may need to have is a payroll bank account. All right, so if you have employees and you pay those employees using a third-party vendor like Paycor or Paychex or Gusto, you may want to think about having a payroll account. All right, so when you have a payroll account with these third-party payroll vendors, what happens is, you set up, your payroll account, and then you actually give the payroll vendors access to your bank account. You give them permission to withdraw what they need in order to pay payroll. All right. So what typically happens is a few days before the actual payroll date, payroll is run, and the payroll company will let you know how much cash they will withdraw out of your account to pay your employees and pay taxes. All right. And then what you can do is when they tell you the amount that they are going to withdraw, just simply transfer money from your operating account to your payroll account so that they only have access to the amount that they said they will withdraw. If you give the payroll companies access to, let's say, your operating account where you have a whole lot more money, they have access to all that money and they could potentially draw additional funds out of that bank account if they wanted to. Now, I've never seen it happen, but I still think it's a good idea to have a separate account only for payroll so that there are no mix-ups. There's no there's no accidentally withdrawing excessive funds, saying, "Hey, I meant to draw $10,000, but I really accidentally drew $30,000, and you're not going to get your $20,000 back until 14 business days." All right, you just want to avoid any of those problems. All right, another bank account that you may want to think about getting is a bank account for a grant. So let's say you've received an extraordinarily large grant. All right, it's a good idea to put those funds that you've received in another bank account. All right, and you want to do that again so you're not commingling funds. You're not, receiving the money from the grantor, putting it into your operating account, and then, accidentally spending that money. All right, especially if it's a very large amount. Now, if it's if it's a smaller amount, you probably won't need to get another bank account, but, tracking on your financials, you don't want to have, 15 different bank accounts. But if you received a very large grant amount from a grantor, then yes, create another bank account, add another bank account, put those funds in there, and those funds are only designated for that particular grant. Also, you may want to have a bank account for an event. So let's say every year you have a special event, a very large special event. All right, and you want to keep track of that funding. Let's say it's a gala. Let's say you host a very large gala, and you want to keep track of all of the funding that comes in, all of the registration fees that come in, and sometimes it's just easier to open a separate bank account. So all of the registration fees come in, all of the donations and funding for that specific event comes in, and then you just spend your expenses related to that event out of that bank account. Okay, and then the last bank account I'm going to talk about is an investment account. So let's say you have a lot of excess cash. You can use that cash and put it in an investment account, okay? And from there, you can start earning interest on your excess money, and it will be in a separate account so that you can see every month or every quarter how much interest is being earned on that excess cash. All right? So, as I said before, you don't want to have like a ton of bank accounts. Get a bank account when it makes sense. All right. If you are, have, let's say, restricted funding that you've received of $500, that's not a time to open a bank account. If you receive restricted funding of, let's say, $100,000 or $200,000, yeah, you may want to think about opening a bank account just for that funding so that you're not accidentally spending those restricted funds. So again, open a bank account. Open these bank accounts when it makes sense. All right. So just overall, having these separate multiple bank accounts, it does provide clarity, transparency, and it provides adds a readability factor to the financial statements. All right. So let me know what you all think. If, thank you for watching. If you're watching via YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day.